Hello, my name is Stephen Tall and I'm the Liberal Democrat portfolio holder for Better Finances. And this week saw some excitement in the City Council because we had our budget setting meeting, and it's the Liberal Democrats who are now running minority administration after 24 years of Labour control of Oxford. And we took over running the City Council in May 2006, and this was our first ever budget setting session. And I'm delighted to say that after a mammoth 7-hour meeting, yes, 7 hours, we eventually managed to set a budget for the coming year, 2007 and 8. And I wanted just very briefly to outline to you now what's in that budget and what it will mean for you. When the Liberal Democrats took over running the City Council as a minority administration last May, we made 5 pledges, and one of those pledges was that we would keep council tax down. As I'm sure you know, nationally the Liberal Democrats are committed to scrapping council tax, which we view as a very unfair tax. It hits the hardest those who are most vulnerable, most poor in society, and we think it should be scrapped and replaced with a form of local taxation which is much more closely related to people's ability to pay. We're not in a position to be able to scrap council tax yet, but what we can do is promise to keep council tax down, and that was our pledge to the people of Oxford. And we feel that's perfectly possible because Oxford currently has one of the highest council taxes in the country. In fact, it has the 10th highest council tax of any of the 238 district councils in England and Wales. And we feel it's well within our abilities to make sure that the people of Oxford have a bit more of their own money in their pocket and that we keep council tax down. And so that's what we did on Monday night in our budget. We pledged that we would keep council tax down, and council tax now will be kept below inflation for the next 3 years. There's a 3% rise this year and a 2% rise in each of the 2 years following. And so we're going to meet that pledge. We are going to keep council tax down, and we are going to make sure that the residents of Oxford have a little bit more money in their pockets at the end of the year. We also believe in using the taxpayers' money that the council does get in efficiently. Again, under 2 decades of Labour control, the City Council unfortunately has not learned how to spend its money as well as it could do, and is sometimes very inefficient. This year we've made a start to correcting that. We've managed to find £4 million of savings for the council without in any way hitting frontline services, and that's quite an achievement that we've managed to push through there. And that's given us enough flexibility to be able to introduce some new bids into our budget which reflect Liberal Democrat thinking and which we think will give a better deal for the residents of Oxford, whilst also managing to keep down their council tax. And I just want to outline a few of those spending bids now, which have, we think, going to make a difference to people's lives in the year ahead. First of all, we're going to open up a new City Council one-stop shop right at the heart of Cowley in Cllr Square shopping centre. We're going to open up a City Council one-stop shop, which means that all the residents of the southeast of Oxford, in the Blackbird Leys and Cowley and Littlemore area, will be able to access their council services at a place which is convenient to them, rather than expecting them to trek into the centre of town in order to be able to access council services. After 24 years of Labour misrule, many of the play areas in the city are not fit for purpose. They're crumbling, they're not good enough. And this budget will increase by £390,000 over the next 3 years the amount of investment this City Council is able to put into its play areas to make sure that they are fit for purpose, that parents can have trust that their children will be able to play safely in these very much appreciated play areas. Homelessness is a huge problem in Oxford, we know, and that's especially true among young people. And so we're going to spend £30,000 in the next year investigating whether we can deliver a housing foyer. And the point of that will be to enable young homeless people to access the training and skills they need to be able to get a job, to be able to start to earn a wage which will get them a house and get them back on their own 2 feet again. Climate change, global warming, is a huge problem, and it's far bigger than a city council or a national government can solve on its own, but we know we can play our part. And one of the bids that we put in was to the government's carbon trust, and what this will enable us to do is to make far better use of the council's own energy efficiency, to make sure that we're investing in our properties and making sure that we don't waste energy. And we're also going to appoint an energy manager who can coordinate all the council activities to make sure that the City Council is playing its part to make sure that global warming doesn't get any worse. One of the disappointments of the budget setting night, however, was that Labour and the Greens joined together in order to increase the parking charges at the city's park and ride sites. Now, the Liberal Democrats oppose this because we think that park and ride is the most environmentally sustainable way in which people can use transport within the city, and we want to promote it. We don't want to discourage people, and we think that hiking up the parking charges, as Labour and the Greens are doing, will deter people from using park and ride. But nonetheless, the vote went through because Labour and the Greens voted for it. What we did insist on was that there should be a new dial-a-ride bus, and this is something that has been clamoured for by Oxford's pensioners because it enables those elderly residents in the city who don't have easy access to a local bus route to be able to phone up the City Council and to get a bus to come to them, pick them up and take them where they need to go. We know it's very well used, and we want to make sure that even more people can take advantage of this valued service. Environmental health is one of the most heavily used of council services, whether it's to report difficulties with noise at night, or whether people need pest control officers to be brought in. So we want to make sure that there's a 24/7 service that people can phone up whenever they have a problem. Under Labour, unfortunately, there wasn't enough resource put in to make sure that this 24-hour service was delivered. And we have put in an extra £30,000 a year in this budget to make sure that we really can, as a council, deliver the 24/7 service we know the residents of Oxford expect us to deliver. Liberal Democrats also wanted to ensure that the City Council's very successful holiday play schemes for children continues to be a success, and so we're going to fund full-time the officer needed to run those highly successful schemes, which we know are greatly appreciated by those children, indeed their parents, in the estates where they take place, and we're going to expand the scheme this year as well to take in even more of the city. Liberal Democrats helped set up the City Council's area committees many years ago, and these are council meetings which are held locally to people in the city, and so they're hopefully more attuned to the needs of our residents. And we're going to put in £60,000 over the next 3 years to help make sure that those schemes which need a bit of funding to take off can actually go ahead, and we know this will be really valued by residents in local communities throughout the whole of the city. Well, those are some of the highlights. I've not had a chance to go through all of what's in the budget, and so you'll see that as I talk. But this budget, I think, really does make a difference. It really does start to put Oxford on a different track than it's been under Labour control. Liberal Democrats are committed to local people controlling their services. We're going to make sure that the budgets, as far as possible, are devolved to area committees so that the public can see where their money goes and where it's being spent in their neighbourhood, and that's something we're going to be working on over the next few months. We're meeting our pledge to keep council tax down. We've managed to find £4 million of efficiency savings in the City Council, and we're beginning to deliver on the services that we know are most valued to the people of Oxford. We've just started. We've had 9 months in power so far as a minority administration. It's not been an easy time, and I don't suppose it will get any easier either. But we think we're on track, and we're delighted to be able to put the City Council back in control of its finances, and therefore able better to deliver the services we know are most important to the people of Oxford. So thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, do please get in touch with us via the Oxford City Lib Dem's website.